Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Monday Agents webinar. My name is Omer, and I'm a Senior Training and Certifications Manager here at monday.com, and I'm a part of the Monday Academy team. Thank you all for joining. We're going to take 2 more minutes before we start as people are still joining. In the meantime, I'd love to know a little bit more about you guys and the industries we have here today. Please write your name, where you're from, and the industry you work in the chat box. While we're waiting, I'll also say that today's webinar will be broken down into 2 parts. The first half will be a demo of Monday's AI agents and capabilities. This part is pre-recorded to ensure everything runs smoothly and you get the most out of it. But worry not, we're here during the entire webinar to answer your questions. The second half will be a live Q&A during which I'll answer additional questions and demonstrate a few more impactful use cases and capabilities. You should be able to see my screen, but if you can't hear me or see the screen at any point, just let me know in the chat. Okay, it's time to get going, and great to see people from so many industries and places. So now that I know you better, just a little bit about me. I joined monday.com over 6 years ago, and since then the platform has felt a bit like a game to me, constantly getting new challenges and use cases, finding different ways to solve them, and saving myself and my team valuable time. I'm sure some of you can relate. And now, with all the new AI capabilities, it feels like we've unlocked a whole new set of superpowers. With all that in mind, here's what we'll cover today. We'll start with the big picture, what's changed in monday.com and why it matters for every team. Then we'll take a quick look at the new AI first experience and layout. From there, we'll dive deep into Monday Agents, the most powerful capability in the platform. I'll show you how to build one from scratch, and then we'll watch a set of AI agents handle real project management end to end. To orchestrate everything, I'll show you how AI workflows can manage complex cross-board automation processes and even trigger agents directly, so the whole operation runs together, not in silos. And after the demo, we'll also walk through how to manage all your AI capabilities and consumption from an admin perspective, because we've made that significantly easier as well. And finally, we'll open the floor for a live Q&A session. But first, just a few quick housekeeping notes. If we ask a question, feel free to respond in the chat. If you have any questions during the session, just pop them into the Q&A box and not into the chat. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible today, but if we don't get to yours, you can always reach out to our support team 24/7. Let's start with a quick question. How many of you feel your team is spending time on work that AI should be handling? Write yes in the chat if you can relate. I'm talking about things like manually writing status updates, analyzing data, copying and summarizing meeting notes into a task board, or scrolling through threads just to figure out who owns what. That stuff adds up fast. Knowledge workers spend nearly 60% of their time on what's called work about work. Coordination, updates, chasing context, instead of the actual work they were hired to do. AI holds enormous promise, and yet 95% of organizations aren't seeing real gains from it. That's what we're here to change today. Monday.com has fundamentally transformed. It's no longer just a work management tool. It's an AI work platform. And today I'll show you what that means in practice, not just on a slide. For years, monday.com has been your work OS, the place teams come to manage projects, track progress, and stay aligned. And it's been great at that. But the way we work has shifted. AI isn't a feature anymore. It's not a chatbot on a slide or a plugin you install. It's a native layer built into how work actually gets done. So Monday has made a fundamental leap. From a platform you use to manage work to a platform where people and agents work together as one team. What does that look like in practice? Your boards don't just store information anymore. They have built-in agents ready to get work done. When something changes, the right person gets notified, the right document gets drafted, the right next step happens automatically. You may have already noticed that Monday looks a little different. The navigation has been redesigned with AI at the center. Your AI-powered tools live in the left pane, always accessible, part of your daily workspace. Before we get to the main event, I want to quickly show you two of those tools, Sidekick and Vibe. Both have dedicated webinars. I'll drop those links in the chat. But first, let's give you a real taste of each. Sidekick is Monday's cross-contextual AI agent. It lives in your sidebar and it knows everything happening on your platform, across your boards, updates, documents, and team activity. Let me show you something quick. I'm going to connect it to my campaign management boards and ask it which campaigns are behind schedule. Without clicking into a single board, Sidekick pulled together the status from all the relevant boards and gave me an instant cross-board summary. That's the power of a truly connected AI assistant. Sidekick can also draft updates, answer questions about your data, surface action items, and help you prioritize, all from one place. If you want to go deeper on Sidekick, we have a dedicated webinar, and I'll drop the link in the chat. Now let me show you something that takes this even further. Vibe is Monday's AI-powered work app builder. With Vibe, you can solve any business need. Simply type a prompt and turn it into a secure AI-powered work app built directly on the monday.com platform. It's up and running in minutes, and because it lives inside Monday, it already has the right data and business context baked in. These apps live alongside your work, not in a separate system, which means less complexity, fewer tools to manage, and everything staying connected in one place. I described create an event management hub including a registration form, agenda, speakers, and modern pink and purple visuals. And voila, we see the results. So instead of stitching together spreadsheets, niche software, and custom builds, you can create exactly what you need on the platform where your work already happens. There's a full dedicated Vibe webinar too. I'll share the link in the chat now. And just before we move to agents, I'd like to also introduce one more thing no AI work platform would be complete without: Monday Notetaker. Monday Notetaker joins your meetings automatically. It transcribes the full conversation in real time, identifies key decisions, and extracts action items with owners and due dates. Then it creates those action items directly on your Monday board. No recap email, no manual entry, no wait, who was supposed to do that? And as you can see here, I have the meeting recording. In my case, I used Zoom. In addition, I have an overview, highlights of the meeting, action items, transcript, participants, and more. On the right, you can see Sidekick ready for whatever question I may have on the session, its content, etc. So I can ask basically anything and everything I want about the meeting. We'll see how this all plays out later during the session. But now, let's talk about the big one. Everything we've seen so far, Sidekick answering questions, Vibe building apps, those are incredible, but they are still requiring you to initiate the action. What if the platform didn't wait for you to ask? That's where Monday agents come in. An agent is an AI teammate. It has a role, a goal, and a set of instructions. It monitors what's happening on your boards and across your connected tools. And it acts. It can read emails, schedules meetings, write summaries, and escalates blockers on its own. This isn't a simple if this then that automation. Those are still here and they're great. But agents can reason, combine information from multiple sources, and make multi-step decisions. Before I show you what a set of agents looks like in action, let me walk you through what it actually takes to build one, because it's much simpler than you might expect. When you open the Agent Builder, the first thing you're asked for is a prompt, a plain language description of what you want this agent to do. This is the most important part. The more specific you are, the better the agent performs. Instead of writing handle emails, you'd write monitor a Gmail inbox for incoming project request emails. When a new one arrives, extract the project name, description, requester, and business priority. Then create a new item on the project requests board and send a confirmation reply to the sender. You set the direction. Your agent handles the rest. Now the fun part. You choose their name, their looks, and their appearance. Then your agent will run their full step-by-step execution plan for you. Either approve or edit until it's right for you. As you can see, during the setup process, I'm being asked on which board I'd like the agent to run. In my case, I want to create a new board for the job, and we can do it directly from here. The platform understands my context and will build a board that matches my process automatically, of course using AI. Now let's look at the other components of an agent. We start with the trigger. This defines when the agent runs. You can trigger an agent on a schedule every Monday at 8 a.m., on a board event when item status changes to blocked, for example, on item creation, on a column value change, or have an action taking place in an external tool set as your trigger, received emails, Slack messages, calendar events, etc. We allow you full flexibility to decide what triggers your agent to work. Then we move to instructions. Here you're able to see the objective, goals, and steps of the agent as you define them during setup. The instructions are editable, and you can change them at any point, either directly from the Instructions tab or alternatively via the chat, which I personally prefer as it asks me further questions and then changes the instructions even more accurately with my approval. Then we need to define access and knowledge. This controls which boards the agent can read from and write to. You choose exactly which boards are in scope. The agent won't touch anything outside of what you grant access to. You can enable viewing capabilities only or full access, which means the agent will also be able to take actions and edit content within the board. You can also add files directly to the agent's brain. Think of it as the onboarding doc you'd give a new hire, a process guide, an approval criteria doc, a research playbook, whatever context a human would need to do the job well, your agents need it too. Moving on to tools. Tools are what give your agent reach beyond monday.com, connected to tools like Gmail, Slack, Google Calendar, Outlook, Zoom, and more, and your agent doesn't just read data, it acts across your entire tool stack, sending emails, scheduling meetings, posting updates, all without switching context. This is what transforms an agent from a smart assistant into a true autonomous teammate. And you stay in full control. For every tool you connect, you decide exactly what the agent can do and can't do. Read-only access or full action permissions. Your agent will never do more than what you've explicitly allowed. And we have skills. Skills are pre-built AI capabilities you can plug into your agent. Things like writing a research report, summarizing meeting notes, or generating an executive summary. Think of them as your agent's toolkit. You pick the ones relevant to the job, and your agent knows how to use them. The more targeted the skills, the more specialized your agent becomes, purpose-built for exactly what you need. You can choose from Monday's built-in skill library or create a custom one from scratch. We also have the model. Every agent runs on an AI model, the engine behind its reasoning and decision-making. By default, Monday selects the optimal model for the job, and for most use cases, that's exactly what you want. But if you have specific needs, speed, cost, or capability trade-offs, you can swap it out. Full flexibility, sensible defaults. Let's move on to monitoring and the agent's activity tab. Every time an agent runs, it logs every step it takes. You can open any run and see exactly what the agent read, what it decided, and what actions it performed. Full transparency, full audit trail. The Channels tab lets you connect your agent directly to WhatsApp or Telegram, so you can have a conversation with it, ask it to take action, or send it data, all without opening Monday. Your agent meets you where you already work. And a quick note, this feature is currently in alpha, so you may not see it in your account just yet, but we ship fast. It won't be long before it's available to everyone. And here's one more thing worth showing. Meet the Storyteller section. This is another feature that will be added soon, letting you give your agent a face, a voice, and a brand identity. Define how it looks, how it sounds, what energy it brings, and then let it generate social video and content directly on its own, in character, on brand. Your agent doesn't just do the work. Soon it will be able to tell the story too. But before we send the agent to work, let's make sure it actually works the way we want it to. Run Now is your test button. Click it to fire the agent on demand and see exactly how it performs before you fully activate it. It's how you validate that everything is wired up correctly. The triggers, the tools, the instructions. If something's off, you'll know immediately and can tweak it before it ever touches a live workflow. Once we're happy, let's it activate and the agent is live. What I love about this is that you don't need to be a developer. You write in plain language, the AI generates the plan, and you review and adjust. It's genuinely no code. Now, let me show you what this looks like when you have a full team of agents working together. Let me introduce you to Fast, a marketing campaign management company that handles campaigns for multiple clients across different regions around the world. Fast receives campaign requests from various companies who need professional marketing campaign management. These campaigns can span multiple regions, APAC, North America, South America, and each one requires careful coordination, planning, and execution. Now, as you can imagine, managing dozens of campaigns simultaneously across multiple regions creates some real operational challenges. Let me walk you through how Fast's workflow currently operates and where they're experiencing friction. First, campaign requests come in from multiple channels: email, forums, phone calls, you name it. All of these requests land in a central intake board where the team tracks every incoming request. Each request includes details like the company name, the requester's information, their desired timeline, which regions they want to target, an initial brief, and their expected budget. The team then needs to evaluate and prioritize these requests. Some get approved, some get rejected, and this decision-making process needs to be both fast and thorough. Efficiently evaluating and approving requests while ensuring nothing slips through the cracks is definitely a challenge. Once a campaign is approved, it moves to the Global Campaign Overview Board. This is Fast's master coordination hub. This board gives them a bird's eye view of all active campaigns across all regions. But here's where it gets complex. For each approved campaign, the team needs to schedule a meeting with the requester, conduct a thorough discovery session with them, write a comprehensive campaign brief document, and set up the campaign structure across the relevant regional boards. Definitely a lot of scheduling, writing, and documentation. So let's recap the key friction points Fast is dealing with. Request intake, making sure no request slips through the cracks. The evaluation process, making approval rejection decisions quick and consistent. Scheduling and coordinating meeting with the stakeholders, and writing thorough campaign briefs for every approved campaign. Now, I want to be clear, this is an example use case and all the data you'll see in the boards is made up. But it's a great example of a real-world scenario that many of you probably face in your own organizations. Complex multi-stage workflows that span multiple boards, multiple teams, and multiple regions. And with that context in mind, I want to show you something exciting. What if I told you that Fast has found a way to address every single one of these friction points, not by hiring more people, not by working longer hours, but by building a team of AI agents that work alongside their human team members? Now, Fast is becoming faster. These agents handle the repetitive, time-consuming work, evaluating requests, scheduling meetings, writing briefs, processing meeting notes, so the human team can focus on strategy, creativity, and client relationships. Let me show you how this works. Meet Angela, your campaign request intake agent. Campaign requests don't always come through a Monday form. They arrive by email, by phone, through a Slack thread. Angela handles all of it. I've set her to trigger on every incoming email. The moment one lands, she reads it and decides, is this a campaign request? If yes, she creates it as an item on the requests board automatically. But she doesn't stop there. Our Monday form has mandatory fields: project name, budget, timeline, stakeholders. When a request comes in by email, Angela scans the content and checks whether all of that information is present. If anything is missing, she sends a follow-up email to the requester asking for exactly what's needed. When they reply, she pulls the new information and updates the item on the board. And to make sure every email she sends looks sharp and on brand, I've given her the HTML email builder skill, so her outreach is always polished and professional. No manual entry, no dropped requests, no back and forth managed by a human. Angela owns the intake process from start to finish. Once requests are in the board, they need to be evaluated, approved or declined. We have 2 campaign managers handling this, and right now it's a slow process. Every request requires 3 things: researching the company's size, revenue, and global reach, checking whether we've worked with them before, and confirming we're available in the requested timeline. Only then can a decision be made. Meet James, the campaign request evaluation agent. James triggers the moment a new request lands on the board. He works through all 3 parameters simultaneously: web research on the company, a scan of our approved campaign's history for previous relationships, and a check on timeline availability, then makes a recommendation based on our exact criteria. To do this well, I've given James access to both the campaign requests board and the approved campaigns board, so he has the full picture of which companies we've worked with in the past as well as timeline availability. I've also added the smart web research skill, so his company research is thorough and reliable. Let me show you this live. I've prepared a form submission in advance. I'll hit submit now, and we'll watch James go to work. And there it is. James evaluated all 3 parameters, followed the decision logic I gave him, and approved the request. You can also see his full reasoning in the update section, every step of his thought process documented and transparent. Now, I want to address something important. In some organizations, maybe even yours, letting an agent change statuses autonomously feels like a step too far. That's completely valid, and it's why guardrails exist. You can configure James so he never touches the board directly. Instead, he posts his recommendation and full rationale in the update section, and a human makes the final call. Or you can add recommended for approval and recommended for rejection groups, so James moves the item but the decision remains yours. The agent does the heavy lifting. You keep the final word. Either way, the hours spent on manual research and evaluations are gone. Now that we have our approved campaigns, we need to schedule a kickoff meeting with the requester and ensure we have a detailed campaign overview brief. This scheduling process is traditionally time-consuming and laborious, so I built Sam, the team's calendar management agent. Once a campaign is approved and an item is created on the high-level global office board, Sam reviews the campaign manager's calendar, that's the person in the person column, and based on their availability over the next 2 weeks, sends an email with proposed time slots to the stakeholder listed in the requester column. Once the requester responds with their preferred times, Sam schedules the meeting and sends calendar invites to both parties. If we look at Sam's brain, you'll see I added item creation as the trigger. In the instructions, you can see the exact steps I've defined for Sam to follow, along with which tools to use. And just like before, I've added the HTML email builder skill, since sending polished emails is central to everything Sam does. To make our workflow even smoother and more interconnected, I've enabled Monday Notetaker to join my meetings automatically, so every conversation is recorded, transcribed, and ready to be analyzed. And that sets the stage perfectly for my next agent, Donald. Creating a detailed campaign brief is a process that demands time and careful attention to detail. Until now, the campaign manager would meet with the client and then manually consolidate all their notes into a structured brief doc, a tedious, error-prone process. With Donald, that manual work is a thing of the past. Donald reviews the full meeting recording via Monday Notetaker and automatically generates a campaign overview brief based on a template I provided. All of this happens in the background in minutes. The trigger is simple. A Notetaker meeting ends with the requester and campaign manager as participants. I've also provided a previous campaign brief as a reference example, so Donald knows exactly what a thorough, complete brief looks like. And that's it. A detailed structure brief is ready without anyone having to piece together scattered notes from multiple places. So let's take a step back and look at what we just built. Fast Campaigns has 4 AI agents running across their entire workflow. Angela handles incoming requests, so nothing gets lost in email. James monitors all campaign requests and evaluates them against the company's key criteria. Sam schedules kickoff meetings the moment a campaign is approved, so momentum never stalls. And Donald, who writes the campaign briefs automatically using the meeting recording captured by Monday Notetaker. Not bad for a day's work, or should I say a few minutes' work. Now, you've just seen 4 agents each handling their own piece of the puzzle. But here's where it gets really interesting, because just like team members, agents don't work alone. Let me introduce you to AI workflows. Think of them as the orchestration layer. While a single agent has a role and a goal, an AI workflow connects everything together across boards, across teams, across tools, and it can trigger agents as part of a larger automated chain. While traditional automations are designed to handle if this then that logic within a single board, AI workflows act as a cross-board orchestration layer that combines steps from multiple sources and trigger complex chains of actions, including the activation of multiple Monday agents across your entire workspace. That's what AI workflows unlock, not just automation, but intelligent coordination at scale. And here's the important thing. None of this replaces your team. Your project manager is still approving projects. Your marketing manager is still making creative decisions. Your engineers are still solving complex problems. What's changed is the overhead, the coordination, the admin, the work about work. That's what AI handles now. That frees your people to focus on what they're actually great at. This is what it means for monday.com to be an AI work platform. Now that you've seen AI in action, I want to address something practical that you'll all encounter when you start using these features: credits. Here's the simplest way to understand it. People have seats, AI uses credits. That's it. That's the model. Credits are the fuel for everything AI does in your account. Every time an agent runs, every time Sidekick generates a summary, every time Notetaker processes a meeting, that draws from your shared credits pool. We simplified our pricing and removed separate AI add-ons so your team can experience the power of the full AI work platform and start seeing impact from day one. You'll always have full visibility and control over AI usage across your account directly in the admin section, which I'll show shortly. Think of it this way. The platform is the car, credits are the fuel. You always know exactly how much you have, and as you saw today, you get a lot done per tank. So, where do you actually start? First, explore your account's AI capabilities. Open the sidebar in the new layout and take a look at what's already there: Sidekick, Vibe, Notetaker, and of course, Monday agents. Then identify one repetitive process in your team's workflow, something that happens the same way every week. That's your first agent candidate. And then all that's left is to set up your first agent. Start simple: an intake agent like Angela, or an approval agent like James. You don't need 5 agents on day one. One is enough to start seeing the value. And now let's move to our live part of the webinar. So thank you for attending this part. We're now moving on to the second part of this session. So, hi everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar. I'm now going to share my screen. I have quite a lot I want to show. So let me just share my screen, and here we go. So first of all, someone asked a great question just now. Why did I build 4 agents and not just one? And so the reason is that I want my agents to be proficient in what they're doing. I don't want to have any overlaps, and I prefer have every agent having a very specific task. Also, another reason is that for troubleshooting, if there are issues, it could cause friction in terms of having multiple different goals. And I also want to avoid credit consumption that's unnecessary. And so if there are multiple skills and a lot of things going on, there is a greater chance of bigger credit consumption. I am later going to address credit consumption heavily and show you a few very cool tips and tricks in that sense, but let's take it step by step. So the first thing I want to show you is agent templates. Basically, when you go to the agent section just here, you have the prompt where you can write pretty much anything and everything you want, and I encourage you to do so and explore by learning, by actually doing. But we do offer ready-made agent templates just to assist you in getting started. You can, of course, tweak them as well. So you have agents for project management. You see which skills are included for the specific agent, as well as integrations. And again, this is just like anything else in Monday, very flexible, and we allow you to choose how to work. So you can use the template, but of course, tweak it to your own needs, remove integrations, add integrations, skills, goals, etc. So that's just in terms of the how to get started with agents. Also, I want to show in the admin section for the admins in the audience, you have the AI governance tab that's very thorough and enables a lot of options and visibility into what's going on in the account. So you have AI permissions for the various AI capabilities and features, such as agent, which roles can use it, and enabled in the same workspace or not in the same workspace. So there's a lot you can do, and I encourage you to explore. Also, in terms of credit usage, you want to be on top of everything, and you also have the credit usage during the selected month and a forecast letting you know what's the trend and how much you may consume during the month. Just today, I delivered a session. Yesterday, I delivered a workshop with a lot of people, so there was a big spike in the credit consumption, but usually it's pretty repetitive, and once the forecast understands the pattern, it can forecast clearly. Also, a breakdown of credit usage per feature and per user, and in case you want to limit specific users to a certain credit or token cap. Credit and token are interchangeable. It's the same thing. You can do that, and also based on a specific AI feature. So for example, I didn't set myself a lot of limits, but I did to third-party agents, which is another question you asked, and I'm going to address shortly. You can definitely bring your own agent into Monday. Again, we believe in collaboration and enabling you to work the way you want. So I'm definitely going to show this as well. You have the agent directory. As an admin, you want to understand what's going on, how many agents I have live, who's the owner, are they live or not, credit consumption use, which board they're operating on, and which integrations they have. And you can, of course, also choose to view the activity, deactivate, etc. Same goes for the Vibe apps in the account, and a few more AI settings. So that's quite a thorough set of capabilities, but we keep adding more and more. So it's always worth being observative, and we will continue an update with these sessions and webinars, so you're always on top of everything. In terms of how we work with agents, it's always been the case that when you build a use case, you need to actually work with it for a bit to understand what works, what doesn't work, what requires improvement. So it's always an iterative process. But when it comes to agents, by definition, once we built the first version, it's not ready in the sense of using it by the entire team, or even if it's just you. So for me, I'll give you one example, and we don't need to be intimidated by this. So I built Sam, my campaign scheduling agent, and she sent a beautifully designed email. She checked my calendar for the next 2 weeks and then offered a few options. And I'm working with my work and personal email just to show the process. And here I, as the client, responded, option 2 works for me. And then nothing happened. The agent didn't continue to book the meeting based off of this date and schedule it in the calendar. And so I simply wrote like what's wrong, and then it kind of scanned its own process, its own coding. I'm not an expert in coding, and that's the beauty of it. We don't need to be. We just write in text, and then it suggested how to fix it to add a Gmail reply trigger. So that's what I was missing. And then once an email is received in Gmail, then it knows to actually scan it and respond, and then it did it beautifully. So that's after I triggered it again, and that fixed the issue. But we do need to understand that this is an iterative process, not just for this agent, but we want to run it, and this is exactly why. Let's go back to the brain. This is exactly why we have the run now button, to see that it behaves the way we expect it to, and we can iterate the process. In terms of efficiency, so yeah, many of you asked, you know what, before efficiency, let's talk about credit consumption. Many of you asked, how do we know how many credits the agent consumes? So in the activity tab, we can see how many credits were consumed per action, and we can also click and see what happened there exactly, and also get a good understanding here of what's been going on. If I click a specific one, I see the breakdown of the activity. I will say that if you can see, not every action is exactly identical. Let's think about a scenario such as the one we had in our fast use case, where the agent researches online. Think about a human employee or yourself researching about one company and then another company. The research won't be the same length, because maybe you found resources more easily, maybe there is actually more information about one company versus the other. And so that's why the credit consumption is not accurate. It's not just a Monday thing, it's in general, and that's the way AI works. That's why we use agents for instances where we want them to reason, and that's how it works. I will also say, I believe I mentioned it, but I will iterate it again. Whenever we can use automations, a deterministic solution, such as if this then that, and again automations, or a workflow builder, a more complex scenario, I will definitely opt using the automation solution, because it's much cheaper. I would like to use agents when they make sense, when they provide me greater value than the time cost I'm spending on building it, on the credits cost. And the next question now, and this is the time to show this, is how do I evaluate the credit consumption, not just for a specific one, but over time? And also, how do I measure whether it's worth creating an agent versus a human? And so now I'm going to use Sidekick. We have our AI platform, a lot of different features and capabilities. And so what I've done here is to use Sidekick, which is our, let's just say, Gemini or ChatGPT, only that it's connected to all our data, our boards, our information, our agents. And see what I did here. Share the monthly credit consumption forecast for my agent James. Be as thorough as possible in your estimation and decision making. Base your answer based on this monday.com knowledge base, and the knowledge base is basically the AI credit consumption, so it knows exactly how many credits are consumed per specific action. Sidekick probably knows this, but just to be on the safe side, I added the article. Assume we're getting 35 campaign requests a month. Share small, medium, and large consumption estimates and explain your thought process. And this is a good time to say that the way we write the prompt has a great effect on the quality of the response we're getting. So I'm sorry. So I could definitely have written a better prompt even, but it actually got me pretty good results. So I'm not going to go over everything, but it did provide me with a small estimate, medium estimate, and a large estimate. But I also asked it to explain and break down its thought process, and also what happens per request. And so once I see my thought process, in another major point of discussion when it comes to agents and AI in general is, can we trust it? And you see, when I ask it to share its thought process, I get a better understanding of its reasoning, and I can understand whether I agree with it or not. I can challenge the agent, the AI, when needed. So that's an interesting back and forth process. But here I actually have to say that I got pretty interesting and good results with the breakdown. This is just a forecast. Then I actually took it a step further, and I asked it to provide a table that would provide a comparison between how long each of these tasks would take a human being versus an agent. And you see a very interesting breakdown per specific task. So there is company research, check previous history, team availability, etc. So that's already providing us with a lot more information. And the last thing I did was to create an easily digestible deck to show James's stats both for credit consumption as well as how much it would save comparing to a human doing the same job. This deck is for leadership, so make it easy to digest, appealing, and visually impressive. Because we may want the leadership buy-in, it could be our team lead, it could be executives, to understand why it's worth it. And you'll see that it created a really nicely designed deck explaining who and what James is, um, basically how many minutes are saved, hours saved annually, both in time and money. James's workflow to briefly explain what the agent does, time per campaign request, and you get the idea. And so this gives me a very good understanding of how many credits James is going to consume. What I can then do is a month from when James was created, or even a week, depending on how heavily he's being used and how much he works. If it's a lot, maybe a week is enough to rewrite the prompt or send it again, and this time compare the estimations to the real work that's being done, and then it has Sidekick has the real credits that were consumed, so that gives us a better understanding and a more reliable forecast for what how many credits are going to be consumed, and actually interesting to see like how close it is to the different scenarios. So that's for credit consumption. Next, I want to show a bit about, you know what, let's go with bring your own agent. Someone asked about whether if I'm working with Claude, for example, or with OpenAI, I already have my own agent. You can definitely bring your own agent. And it could be Claude, OpenAI. You see cursor, we have a lot of different options, and it would be a seamless experience. They'll be collaborating in Monday. At the moment, they're not going to consume more credits. Obviously, you're paying for this in the other platform. It will consume credits only in case the agent is taking an action that consumes credits. So, for example, the agent changes a status and triggers an AI column to work, that would consume credits. But that's just a bit about bringing your own agent. In terms of the workflow builder, and I mentioned, let's refresh, I mentioned the option of deterministic, of automations versus agentic. And I wanted to mention that it could be a combination. If I have a complex process where I have multiple different steps taking place on multiple different boards, maybe I want to reduce costs and actually have the agent working only in part of the workflow. So you see here, I have a deterministic process, sorry, and only at a certain point I get to including an agent. And another new feature that I wanted to mention is workflow loops. Up until not too long ago, this was not an option. So for example, let's just say my scenario is that when I change an apparent item status, I want all sub items data to change to something. And now with the workflow loops, you can definitely do that. And it will only finish once all the sub items were reviewed. Sub items are just an example, yes? But here I actually have an agent taking the action. So I can really have flexibility. I can have a workflow triggering an agent. Can have an agent triggering a workflow. And in case you didn't notice, we have here Sidekick, which allows you to use Sidekick to write what you want your workflow to be and actually have AI build it for you. So everything is getting a lot easier, and the idea is to provide a seamless experience for you even while building. In terms of blocks, as I mentioned, you have agents, and here also you can choose to use one of the agents you've already created. You can build a Monday agent even from here, or you can bring your own agent just like I've shown. we have two new interesting blocks. One is code, where you can actually have a block that would do exactly what you want on whatever step you want, whatever item, etc. So you're coding, and another one is MCP. So use connected app. You can integrate an external app using MCP. For those of you who are not familiar with MCP, let's um, just describe it very, very briefly as the bridge between Monday in another platform. So it could be Slack. For Slack, we don't need that because we have already a connection that you can just choose automatically. But if it's an integration we don't have, you can use the MCP and connect it. So you can definitely work with multiple different platforms and have agents trigger different capabilities and options. Now, let's say I still want to, let's see where it is. Here it is. Let's say I still want to see how we can become more efficient when it comes to credit consumption. Obviously, we want you to use AI and become as efficient as possible, but sometimes we have limitations. We have a limit how many credits we have, even if we have purchased more buckets. So I want to make sure I'm as efficient as possible. So here I used Sidekick in the following way. Regarding my agent James, is there a way to be more efficient in terms of credit consumption? I'm looking to reduce credit or token costs, and so happy for ideas for improving efficiency. And this is actually interesting. So with my agent James that evaluates the campaign requests, the first thing the agent did was researching online to see how big the company is. And one of the suggestions here was to reorder the steps. So first check team availability, because when you check team availability, that's basically that just searching in another board in Monday, the timeline column. And then if we don't have availability, maybe the agent doesn't need to continue to research online. So that's pretty cool. And I would need to take this and go to the agent in the text box and write, ask the agent to change the process, or even copy and paste this. So we change the agent's brain, sort of speak. Also reduce web research scope. So currently James does open-ended research, check financials, number of branches, income, etc. This is a multi-query heavy operation. So instead you can define a short specific checklist where I define exactly what I want the agent to look for, and only for these specific metrics. And so instead of having a broad general like research, have more specific things. We have more and more options, but I'm not going to go over everything. I'm more interested in you in having this mindset of, now when I don't know something, or I have an idea, or I want to improve, I just go back to the AI and ask it. And that's a really big change of mindset. I'm also not always like thinking about it. So we kind of like, it's like AI is kind of like a new brain, a new hand. I'm not sure how to describe it, and we need to learn how to use it in the best way possible. Okay, this has been quite a lot, and I think it's now time to say thank you everyone for joining. We will make sure to send the recording, and we will continue with these webinars, so you're also always on top of everything and aware of all the releases we have in the AI era. We have quite a lot of them quite rapidly. So thank you everyone for joining, and have a great day.